And welcome to everyone on today's webinar. It's kind of a special presentation today. By special request, we have this 2-hour amazing topic with two incredible realtors with us today. So for the first hour, we have Nick Bastian with us today. And many of you know Nick from being around. He is simply everywhere on the internet. So we're talking 24 surefire ways to generate, convert, and close deals, earn referrals, and wow, what a ton of information. Nick Bastian is going to be with us from 11 to 12 today talking about how to generate leads. We're going to come away with, it says 12 surefire ways, but I am positive that you're going to come away with so much more than that. And then from 12 to 1, Bob Herzog is going to be joining us, and Bob is a designated broker here in the Valley. And wow, $200,000 plus in earned income,
gross commissions
this year so far. So when we asked people how do you convert leads, Bob's name came up over and over again. So he definitely became our go-to guy. Yes, I can speak slower. So today's webinar is a special presentation from 11 to 12 with Nick Bastian and from 12 to 1 with Bob Herzog. We will be taking questions during the webinars today, so please feel free to write your question in the question box, and we will get right to them. And for all of you people who are fans, thank you. I will pass along these really nice comments to these gentlemen sitting in front of me. So we're going to get started with Nick Bastian this morning. And for those of you who do not know Nick, he has been a real estate agent here in the Valley for about 22 years.
23, or who's counting?
23, and I'm going to tell you, Nick doesn't look like he's over 30, so he probably started, back in elementary school. And Nick is one of these people that has been around forever. And once he gets started in talking, you're going to go, oh, I recognize him, and I guarantee that that's going to be the case. So we're going to just delve right in. Nick, thanks for joining us today.
It's really good to be here, and I'm really glad to be here with this guy over here because I like to play on the internet a lot. I'm kind of a geek, but he's going to tell people how to actually make money doing it. So this will be a really fun way to kind of tag team this stuff. But with my business, it's definitely changed since when I first started, where we didn't even have. I remember. Oh my gosh, there's this thing called a fax machine now, and it was like you could put this paper in there and you didn't have to drive it across town, and so things have definitely changed a little bit. I'm fortunate that, I registered my name, my domain. I bet you I've had that domain 20 years, and for some of the stuff that we do online from an SEO perspective, and I don't really want to make this an SEO talk today, but a lot of what we do has some SEO aspects to it. So, the fact that I've had that specific domain for a really long time, I think, has helped me rank for specific keywords that I really want to be found for. But when we talk about generating leads, yeah, thank you. When we talk about lead generation, I think people get caught up and talk only about web leads. And really, the definition of a lead is different to different people. So the biggest part of our business is still past clients and referrals and things like that. But about 7 or 8 years ago, I really wanted to start defining my business differently. I'm certain that the first 10 years of my career, it was just not spectacular at all, right? I mean, I kind of would sell anything, anywhere, to anybody that had a pulse, just chasing anything at all. And I really didn't enjoy that quite as much as you would think. I mean, well, you probably wouldn't think that that's enjoyable at all, right? But it's just not. I think there's a lot of agents that do that, right? I mean, they get into the business and they think, oh my gosh, I've got to take every lead that comes in. And once I started looking more at this whole internet thing, I started to play around with some blogging and doing some different things with that. And so that changed things quite a bit as far as niche markets. So going into different niche markets, I mean, I quickly realized that working with people that are like-minded or in an area that you want to work is really beneficial. So I started this raillife.com website right before, probably a year or so before the light rail line opened. And it was a niche that really a lot of people hadn't started working yet. It was something that I found really interesting. And it was an area that I thought I liked. It was a lifestyle that I knew that we hadn't had that here before. But what happened is when I started looking into where does it go, what's it going to cost, what did it cost to build, there really wasn't a lot of information on it. So I started writing about it. And when I started writing about it, I started getting people that were interacting with us and that wanted to know more about it. They wanted to know, what types of transit systems are running together in Phoenix, what type of a lifestyle is down there. And it just kind of took on a life of its own. It was really interesting in that people would come back to that thing, or they would, they want to know what are the events down there. And we had a lot of success with that blog for a long time, and I still do. Unfortunately, I've gotten not putting as much time as I'd like to in that because we've moved on to different aspects of our business through that, but it taught me so much as far as different social profiles and how to tie things in and to truly create a niche market. We had a lot of success in branding that website.
So Nick, going back to 2007 when you first started Real Life,
Yeah.
What made you decide that this was the direction to go in for your business?
Well, it was something that I knew. I had started reading about blogging and about web development and about, this whole online thing, right? And I knew that there was people having success with it. And I started meeting some of these people, and I remember the very first real estate bar camp that we had. I had just been, we had just launched the Rail Life site maybe a year before that. But I had been doing research about bloggers all over the country, and I still thought, like Inez, what she's doing with Miamism and stuff like that. She's just always been somebody that I look to as far as a true niche, and how are you creating a web presence around a lifestyle. And the lifestyle along that light rail line, it truly is different than something out, maybe in Chandler or Gilbert or even in South Tempe where I live. It's different to where if you live within, quarter, half mile of one of those stations, the convenience of being able to just walk over to that and then get to, a Suns game or a Diamondbacks game or all the art centers along Central Avenue. People really like that lifestyle. And so it's a website that you truly have endless content that you can write. I mean, you could write 10 posts a day on that site and not ever run out of material because there's so much stuff going on down there.
So it kind of sounds like this was a great way for you to connect what you already are interested in with your business.
Right. Kind of the change coming to these areas. I mean, heck, Metro just had an article recently that there's been like $7 billion in investment along that light rail line now. And now they've had the first extension into Mesa. I love what's going on in downtown Mesa, and I can't wait to kind of add to some of the stuff that we're doing with the site into some of the downtown Mesa areas. And they've got they've got a downtown built into it. And what I've been saying for years about downtown Mesa is this light rail line is going to be a real benefit to that area because they've already got transit-oriented development built into the city. And so to be able to tell people about that lifestyle, they want to live there, they want to work there, they want to play there. And so they'll look for that kind of stuff. And luckily, if you do it right, they kind of find you.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about your website and how you use it to generate some business.
Okay. The website that we use WordPress with everything. WordPress has a slightly higher startup cost than some of your template sites or maybe the company site, but I'm a real believer in owning your own content and controlling every aspect of your business. You want to control the domain name, you want to control the phone numbers, your social profiles, and I think it's important to push all of your marketing activity to a destination that you own and control. So it kind of amazes me at how many business people don't pick up on that concept. It's something that if you're going to be in business, own every aspect of your business. I mean, I'm not a big fan of having xyzcompany.yourname.com in that I think it can be a part of your business, and I think it can be a tool, and I think I've actually seen some of the good websites and some of the big and large, or big and small firms that are doing that, but I think that should just be another piece of your online strategy. If you really want to play the online game, you need to own your own content. And so that's how we look at everything as a hub. So if I'm going to do a post of a listing that we have, or if I'm going to do something on Twitter or Facebook, I'm not going to send the people to an outside site. I'm going to send them to something that I own and control. This next slide will probably show a little more about kind of what I mean there, where if you have your main hub, your main website, and then anything that you do, let's say, because a lot of these agents, they'll go on Facebook or on Twitter or something, and they'll put a link to one of their listings, but it'll be a link to a Zillow page or a Trulia page or even an Armless page to where you're not really getting the calls to action that you want or the calls to action that are beneficial. Yeah, I think we can go to the next one.
So Nick, you're not saying don't use Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, but what you're saying is your website is pretty much the vortex of your marketing. Everything should go back to you.
Yeah, I really think that, now I know that there's a lot of people out there that buy Zillow leads or Trulia leads or Realtor.com leads, and I don't think that there's necessarily anything wrong with that. It's just not the way that I run my business. So when we talk about lead generation, there's so many different ways that you can do that. I've just taken a little bit of a different angle. And, you get into these Zillow bashing and Trulia and, who owns Realtor.com and all that stuff. And frankly, I don't care that much about that kind of stuff because I worry about Nick's business. And although I've never purchased online leads, we try to do some organic leads through our websites. That's a tough business though because you have to, it really, there's only 10 spots on page 1 of Google. And if you think you can start today and own one of those 10 spots, you need to either bring a really big checkbook. And actually, even if you have a really big checkbook, it's hard because Zillow's checkbook's bigger, so is Realtor.com's. And so if you don't have time on site, a domain that you've had for years, and if you don't have a domain that has literally thousands of pages on it, you're not going to compete. So if you're out there and you're listening to some of these gurus that tell you, hey, I can get you ranked on page 1 for something, maybe if it's a purple house in Arcadia with 16 bedrooms and a den outside back by the pool, yeah, I could get you to rank for that tomorrow, right? But nobody will ever type it into Google, and you'll never make any money with that. But if somebody's telling you, hey, you can start a website tomorrow, and I'll have you on page 1 of Google for Tempe real estate agent, you're not going to do that, right? It's just not possible. And so the whole Google thing is, they're really smart, right? And they don't want people that are out there trying to game the system and create link farms or create things that you really shouldn't be doing. What they want is they want a resource of helpful information. And they want a place to go to where if somebody types in a query, there's a website that has that information on it, right? So I'm not sure why people that want to generate online leads don't invest in their own business. Now, that's online organic leads. If you want to have a whole bunch of phone calls and you want to pay XYZ company to buy those leads, I think that's awesome. And I know a lot of people that make a lot of money doing it. It's just not how I run my business. And so mine is more of a relationship building than a high volume, high numbers. Like I'm never going to sell $16 billion in real estate every year, right? I mean, we run a decent business, but I'm not here to be selling 500 and 600 houses a year. I mean, not right now. I mean, who knows what the future brings. I mean, with some of the stuff that we're working on, I think we'll be able to expand our web presence even more. But especially for the last few years, and especially for the next few years, I just see kind of trying to work on what I've got and build those relationships. And the biggest thing for me is, I like to do the online social media. I like to tie all that stuff together. But really, our past clients are our bread and butter, right? I mean, we try to, we send out electronic newsletters to them. We send out emails to them. We send out, we'll have client appreciation parties, or we'll do our tailgate parties for the football games. And, we invite everybody. I mean, there's a bunch of realtors that show up, but there's past clients. I mean, we like to have fun, and we like to have a lifestyle that people are interested in and work with like-minded people. And I don't know that that's any earth-shattering advice, but it's something that a lot of realtors, I still think they miss that. They don't put plans in place to have a good CRM system and keep in contact with people, and they allow themselves to not be in front of those people on a continual basis. And so the way we do it is we try to keep in contact with them through print, through online stuff, through social media channels, and just create more of a higher touch business.
But you're also involved in the community. So you're not sitting behind your computer 24/7 going Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. You're out in the community, your face is there, so you're more consumer centric than salesman.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I don't really look at myself as being a huge salesperson. It's just I want to help people buy and sell property, right? And I've got a ton of experience that helps them make good choices when they're buying or selling real estate. But when we take a listing, we'll take some extra time and we'll build websites for that listing. We'll make sure that we hire a photographer to go out there. We want to present that in a way that is professional and that is beneficial to our clients.
Okay, so when you say you're going to build a website for the new listing, are you talking single property site? Is that part of your website? Is it standing alone? What is that?
Yeah, we keep everything on our own sites. So we will build a website, and a lot of times we'll use the address, because if you look at all of the major portals, they're building, as soon as something comes on the market, they're taking and spinning that content out to the web to do an address search. So when I started seeing that a few years ago, we started building pages on our site. Now, stepping back a little bit to the WordPress thing, WordPress is a website, but it's a blog. A lot of people think of it as, quote, just a blog. It's not. A blog is a weblog, which is it's a site with a blogging platform built into it. So you can build specific web pages, and then you can have, whether it's a community. So like on Phoenix Real Estate Guy now, we're starting to build a lot more community-centric stuff on there because the power of that site, people search for communities that they live in. So with the single property websites, yeah, there's a lot of companies that will sell you, I think it's $10 for a whole bunch of single property sites. I haven't looked at them for a couple of years now. And they'll build a site for you, but what we do is it'll say, either nickbastian.com/ the address of the property, and then I'll put it on Phoenix Real Estate Guy and the address or the community name. Because people, when I saw that all major portals were doing that, I started thinking, well, there's probably a reason they're doing that, right? Because they're pretty smart. They're a lot smarter than I am, so I watch what they're doing, and I try and copy other things that I see people being successful with. And so we start building these on our pages, but then we'll buy a domain that'll say, 123main.com or .info or .net or whatever, and we'll forward it to that URL on our website. The reason for that is we can then create a sign writer so that when somebody's driving by, they can say, okay, 123main.com, and they'll pull that up on their phone, and it'll take them directly to our site. It's not going to take them to a major portal. It's going to take them to a site that has my name on it, has my contact information, has my phone number. It's not going to have a site that has other agents on there. And so we'll have the photos on there, we'll have a description on there, and we'll have certainly contact, click here to contact us, or if they want to see the property, then we're able to take those calls and help those people with the information for that house.
Hey Nick, let's, if it's okay with you, show them one of your sites and an example of what you mean. Can we do that?
Sure.
Okay, so.
Yeah, you can go to either Nick Bastian or Phoenix Real Estate Guy.
Okay, let's just give you an example of what we mean here, folks. I think this will be helpful. So which one do you want?
They're both the same. I mean.
Okay, so this is Nick's website / blog.
Scroll down just a little
here. And what you can see is.
Okay, so those are properties. So both up here. Yeah, those are the single properties. Go up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Up a little bit. Okay, so this property in Dobson Ranch is a listing that we just put on the market this weekend.
Okay.
So we'll forward that, and if you look on the top, the URL is a 2109 West North Hall.
So right here at the very top, you can see it says nickbastian.com, and he has it categorized as listings, and then the address of the property. So anytime that you have somebody who is interested in your property, they're going to this page on your website.
Right. Now, we're also, depending on where the property is or how much we want to rank for a specific address, if you look at the Phoenix Real Estate Guy site, I'll give you Phoenix, Real Estate Guy. So then if you scroll down to the listing under the blog stuff, okay, so here is this property, or here's another property that, same thing, we're putting the address of the property in there, giving them information on the home.
So when you're on Facebook and you're like, oh wow, we're so excited, we have a new listing,
right.
You're directing them back to these pages. You're not giving them like the MLS listing
right.
URL.
So
you're sending them to your website.
It'll send them directly to one of these pages so that they've got the information, and then when they go there, it's contact us, our phone number, our name, email address. little bit more information than sending them back to a competitor site or a site that's not really going to get us as many leads from that.
Great.
And so same thing with any of our social profiles, whether it's a Phoenix real estate guy on Twitter or if it's my personal stuff that I'm using, I'll always send them to a link of something that we own or control.
Okay. And then you also were talking about having communities.
Right. So let's see. Here's a couple of. We just started building these on here, so go to maybe see if I have Dobson Ranch. So then we'll give people information about specific communities that we're working in. And I've got a whole bunch of those built on my Nick Bastian site. But now we're starting to use this site. And I hesitate to talk too much about a whole bunch of sites to people because my opinion is take one and work the heck out of it. But it was just something that we were able to purchase this site this last year to where it just really works well, and there's got a lot more content on there. So I think some of the things that we're going to do with that site in the future are going to give us a lot more flexibility to add to our business valley-wide, right? So like right now, since my office is in Tempe, I live in Tempe, my kids go to school in Tempe, I live, work, eat, sleep, I play there, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Most of that stuff is on my Nick Bastian site, so we do really well in Google searches for Tempe real estate specific searches, but moving forward, we're going to try and get that Phoenix real estate guy to rank better for different communities in that we want to work in, or if we can bring on people that want to work the online stuff with us and maybe give them areas or zip codes or things that they want to work in, and then we'll put in place, because we do, like for my business, I'm doing a bunch of direct mail now to where we'll send pieces of direct mail to a community that we want to work in, but then we'll put on there, we'll buy a domain for that community and send them back to the web pages and landing pages. And we've had some pretty good success with both listing and buyer stuff in different areas by combining the offline stuff with the online stuff. And it's usually another step or it's a little more work, but it's something that we've just found to be really effective.
So for someone who's maybe just starting out in real estate today, they've just started their website. In your experience, where have you gotten the most bang for your buck? Has it been the e-newsletter? Has it been the postcards, the personalized postcards, Facebook? Where do you think is a good place for somebody to start today?
If you're starting out now, I would pick a niche and learn to work that. I would say go knock on some doors. I don't do that, but I think starting out, get into a community, and remember, you don't have to be an online presence as far as if somebody types in homes for sale in Dobson Ranch, are they going to find you? But you do have to, if you have a web presence, have things on there that are good information for people, and then send them to your website. Because you don't necessarily have to rank well to be successful. You just have to work hard, and you have to get people to want to work with you. And so put yourself out there, let them get to know you, and they can get to know you on some of your social profiles, but certainly through your website, through the types of material that you share with them. And I think that's the biggest thing is just find a niche that you want to work, whether it's a neighborhood or a type of person, or maybe your past clients, or it could be heck, I mean, I know guys that have made niches out of a car club or a rowing team, or, I mean, you can do any of that. It's just you find that and then just work it and enjoy it. And people know if you really enjoy what you're doing, and I think it really helps them to relate to you.
So how do you decide between being, niche focused or like we talked about, a wide net? Why would you choose one over the other? What's the benefit of, having a focus that is really targeted?
The really targeted stuff to me is find a target that you enjoy, and for me it's more of a lifestyle thing. Where if I'm in that community and I'm participating in, maybe you're going to participate in the Chamber of Commerce or go to the city council meetings or learn the development around there and be able to talk to people about what's going on in your area when they contact, if they're moving from out of state, let them know what's going on down there and be a real resource rather than, because they can find homes on 5 million websites, but they can't really get an idea of what it's like to live a lifestyle unless you really know that lifestyle. So know the inventory, know the politics, know the industry, know what's going on around there. And I think that's where people, as realtors, we have to be a valuable resource because there's so many of these other sites that, they can get information about any house, but you want them to be able to relate to you and to want to work with you and personalize that stuff. That's kind of the way we do it anyway. I have a pretty small team, but we work where we want to have fun.
So it comes down to what you have to offer. There's an old saying or a story about, there's 200 realtors in a room and one consumer walks in. And what is it that sets you apart? You're all selling the same house. So you're about connections and relationships. But what about your value proposition? How do you communicate that to a consumer?
Well, it kind of comes along to the whole community thing as well too. I mean, we want to be a resource to them. So we put out, we help them find other things, if they need a contractor, if they need to know about the schools in the community, if they need to know what the transportation's like, if they need to know, where the different grocery stores. I mean, it sounds a little corny, but it really works, especially if they're moving from another state or another area. They don't know what it's like to live there. And that's where really you can be a valuable asset to anybody looking to move to a specific area. And they'll seek that out. I mean, the whole, especially when they start online, if they say, okay, they'll Google Phoenix real estate. Well, that's a really early search, right? And so if you find them, it's hard to keep them because they're going to search for that and then they're going to say, okay, well, maybe I want to be in Gilbert or maybe I want to be in Tempe or maybe I want to be in Scottsdale. But then when they find Scottsdale, they find Tempe, well, maybe they want to live in Camelot Village. Okay, well, what's in Camelot Village? Why would I want to work there? And just being able to continually drill down that stuff and give them information on all of that, I think that's where we've had some pretty good success in people that are looking for a lifestyle, and especially with the whole light rail thing. You'd be surprised how many people are looking for a lifestyle like that. And it was funny because we had a professor at ASU a couple years ago that ASU had said, okay, you got to talk to these guys. They came in and they started showing them all these houses in Arcadia, up in North Scottsdale. And the guy's like, I want to live close to where I work, and I want to know what that community's like. And they lived in New York. And so she starts Googling stuff, and she finds one of our websites, and um, I get this email from a lady, and she said, hey, we found your website. And at the time, I didn't know that ASU had already told them, call this person. Um, So I set up a meeting. We just went to this place in downtown called Encounter, and we had some coffee and just talked about what they were looking for. And she said, oh, thanks so much. We'll be back. We've got to figure out if he's going to take this job. sure enough, about, I think it was a couple of months later, they called again and said, we took the job, we want to go look around for some stuff, would you be able to meet with us? Absolutely. And it just, in talking to her since that time, she told me that they had given them to another realtor, and she said, but we were looking more for a lifestyle, and she said, every time I searched for something in that area, I saw you on a website, I saw your blog, I saw just all this information, and she said, that's what we wanted. And, they moved here, they purchased 2 rental homes since they've been here, and now they're selling the house and buying another, we're under contract on another house with them. They know that you're involved in that community, and they want to have somebody that knows what's going on down there. And those are the kinds of relationships that I really enjoy working with. So just put information out there that is relevant to what the type of people you like to look for, or type of people you want to work with are looking for.
That sounds good. Well, thank you, Nick. So what I hear you saying is that both online and offline is where you need to be.
That's my business strategy anyway. I mean, I don't know. I think there's people that can have success with both, and I think there's a lot of agents that think it's one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
I've found that, especially over the last few years, combining the two is we get more bang for our buck on both of them. So finding communities that we really want to sell in or help people buy in and build web pages for those specific communities, but then when we're doing some targeted mailing in there, send them to a website that has not only the stuff that's for sale, but stuff that's recently sold in there, and let them know that, you might not be buying or selling anything in here today, but whether it's today or 6 months or a year from now, they can bookmark that site and always come back and see what the market is doing in there. And so I just like being able to, we've been playing with the sold stuff a lot more lately, and to be able to display sold listings in the communities is something that we're starting to do a lot more with, and I think it's been valuable. Because you go into a listing appointment now sometimes, and they don't just call and say, I want you to come and tell me about what you're going to do. Some of them are calling and say, come over, we're ready to sell our house. Because they've been following the website or the blog for, some of them for 6 months, a couple years. And, I'll walk in and they'll have a folder of, different pieces of mailing that we've sent to them. Or they'll start saying, oh, well, I read your article about this restaurant and we go there all the time and, we love it. Crap, I wrote that 2 years ago, but it's really interesting on how people follow that stuff because they're in that community. So if you're touching them online and offline, you really have a good relation. I mean, they feel like they know you before you walk in the door.
I think that's a really excellent point, that your marketing also doesn't have to be community-centric. It could be about your hobby or a habit. Maybe you're a coffee drinker, and so on your blog you're talking about all these different coffee shops. Or maybe you're a golfer or a movie person. It's kind of like what brings you together with other people is kind of what I'm hearing you say.
Well, that's the relationship side of it. And it's funny because different people have different ideas on that too, is, oh, don't waste, I don't care what you had for breakfast today, or type of, knock on some of the social media stuff. But the social side, there's actually a lot of different reasons to do that, and some of it even has to do with social signals and how it helps your website be found, those links back to the site. And, again, that gets a little more on the technical side of the SEO aspects of it, but all of that stuff just combines to make you a resource. And if people see you in multiple channels, I guarantee if they see you, maybe a website that you built, and then maybe you did a restaurant review on a Yelp or a Google Plus or something like that. And, you know, I try not to take too much time and do that stuff, but some of these things, it really doesn't take any time at all. And it's just another footprint for you to be found in an area that you want to work.
And how about videos? Are you using videos these days to kind of reach your community?
Not nearly as much as I'd like to be. I think it can be really effective. I've done a little bit of video stuff, but in the future we plan to do a lot more of that. We've got a couple of videos in some community-specific pages that we have built online that, you know, will embed that video into our page, and we host most everything on YouTube. And then I'll take that YouTube video and embed it into a web page rather than just send them to the YouTube video. I'll send them to the page on our website that has that built into it. And so that I think is a lot more valuable than just sending them to YouTube or just a copy of the video. But we recently, I mean, there's a house in the lakes in Tempe that I'm 99.9% sure we got that listing because of our web presence. I mean, there's some guys that really do a good job selling in there, but it's a market that we like, and then so I started building that, and it's a lifestyle that I like, so I started telling people about it, and now all of a sudden we're getting a bunch of phone calls for people that want to live in that neighborhood. And so I see that the stuff works. Unfortunately, there's so many of these that I want to do. It kind of gets in the way of time selling properties. I mean, it's you know, it's hard to do it all. And so we're gearing up a little bit. I've got a really good staff right now that, you know, is going to allow me to have some more time to do some of that stuff. And I just need to continue to do more of it, you know, because I enjoy it.
I think some people are afraid of, you know, the writing and how long it takes, and, you know, maybe they aren't, you know, a good writer or anything. Video is kind of the opposite, where you can shoot a good video, you know, be in and out and done in 10 minutes. YouTube being an incredible search engine,
right? Sometimes
that's a good option for people.
A lot of people don't think about who owns YouTube, and it is Google, and Google likes their products very much. So embedding those videos into your own, you know, a site that you own is just one more thing that, again, if you're trying to play that SEO game, and I really don't try and tell people to do that because it's really hard, but I also think don't just look at it as an SEO play. Put that video on your site and send it to people that live in there so that they can see it. You know, if you're forcing it to them, if you're sending it to them, it's still really beneficial. So I think video's a really good way to get your message out there. I don't know why that I'm hesitant to do more video. To me, I'm not really good at editing them and, you know, the whole intro and outtake, you know, just stuff like that. And it seems to be, it's not rocket science, and I know that if I would take time to do it, I could do a lot better job of it. But I do a lot of other stuff, and it's hard to find time for all of it. And so that's kind of, I try to sort of practice what I preach in that find what you enjoy and do that. But with the video stuff, that's an excellent question because it's kind of where everything's going. And in fact, I met with some of the guys at our company recently that we're talking about doing some more video stuff. So yeah, in the future, we'll definitely do more video.
I want to just say I was having some work done on my car over the weekend, and so I walked next door to Circle K. Well, in between the tire place and Circle K was a open house sign sitting there on the sidewalk. And so I walked by it and I was like, huh. So I took a picture of the sign and I put it on Facebook, and I was like, I wonder whose open house this is.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I got the response that I wanted. But interestingly enough, by the time I went back to the tire place, the guy was like, oh, I saw you taking a picture of that sign. And I said, yeah. I said, I have a sneaking suspicion that I know the realtor holding the open. He's like, yeah, we see those signs all the time. And I said, yeah. I said, they're recognizable in the community. And he was like, yeah. He's like, people are always stopping and looking at them. And I thought, that is a great lead generating tool, because your signs are out there, people get used to seeing them, and then they start looking for other things that have that logo on it or that color on it.
Right.
And he was like, he knew that he had seen that sign before.
Yeah, and that's something, it's funny because seriously, in the last 20 years, before this year, I probably haven't done 3 open houses. And this year, though, especially some of the stuff that I'm doing at the Phoenix Real Estate Guy with Dean and Char, we're always trying to help each other, like, better our business. And how can we not only better our business, but be more beneficial to our clients, and whether that's a buyer or a seller. So we're doing some different types of open houses now. We're not just putting up one sign, or we'll make sure that people know that it's coming. Notify the neighbors and do just a whole bunch of stuff like that. And Dean's really good at that stuff, and so it's been kind of fun to learn some stuff from him about how to effectively hold those open. Because I think if done right, it doesn't necessarily just have to be a way for realtors to sit there and try and get other buyers. You can actually try and sell that house too. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of realtors, I think that they do open houses just to get other clients, and nothing wrong with that. But I think if done right and proper marketing and stuff, and it helps with awareness and of your brand. And as you go into areas, if you're working in specific neighborhoods, why would you not put your brand out there as often as possible?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're working on a lot of fun things right now with that site.
I was kind of joking around with him, and I said, oh, you recognize the sign? He says, yeah. I said, so you're getting kind of tired of driving in from Queen Creek every day? And he's like, I'm in Florence. And I'm like, I bet they have food over there. You should go look at it.
Yeah.
Right around the corner from, where he drives to every day.
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, the whole lifestyle thing, I love it. I mean, that's really, I do a lot of research on just different lifestyle type blogs and how to connect with people in different communities. And to me, it's kind of a passion that I have as far as continuing to make our websites more informative for the type of people we want to work with. And that's just it's how we do it.
So it kind of sounds like it's premeditated. This isn't something that's, fly by the seat of your pants. You've really put some thought into the type of people that you want to work with,
Right.
the type of business that you want to have,
Right.
Or how much business you want to have.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have to have a plan in place for every aspect of your business. And my biggest source of our business is past clients. So when somebody calls, I want to be able to focus 100% of my attention on them. But we're continuing to get more and more web leads and do a better job on the online stuff. And a lot of that is, phone calls or email inquiries and stuff. And so I want to have enough people in place to handle some of that stuff, so that once we have somebody that is a listing or is a real new buyer or something, or if it's a past client of ours, I want to put all of my focus on helping them. And it's you have to have a plan in place on how to handle that stuff. And so it would be cool to be able to listen, especially in the next hour, on how to really effectively do that. Because if you don't have plans in place, anything that you're doing online, it really does become just a waste of time. And if you have that kind of time to waste, go for it, but I'd rather be playing golf or something maybe. So, but yeah, we definitely, every day I think of something different that I want to add either to a web page or a different web page that we have, or ways to create awareness for areas that we want to work in. And I'm just not as interested in, taking a random phone call off of a paid lead that somebody wants to go look at a house 40 miles away that might buy something. I'm not, obviously you would qualify the people and stuff like that before you put them in your car or meet them over there, but that's not my ideal client. But since we get a lot of those, I mean, we're trying to add people to help service some of that stuff and use our plans to follow up on those leads and keep in contact with them and call them, email them, text them, just make sure that you're getting as much out of your lead gen as you can.
Great. Well, thank you, Nick. So we just have a couple of minutes for questions. So if you have some questions for Nick, go ahead and write them in on the question box. And in like 5 minutes, we're going to kind of switch gears, and we've learned how to generate leads, online, offline, personal relationships, signage, and then Bob Herzog is going to just really ramp it up and talk about, now you've got those leads, now what do you do? How do you convert them? Because that's really where the money is at. Your phone could ring, 100 times a day, but if you don't know how to convert them into, a real client or customer, then you're kind of just spinning your wheels anyway. Mm-hmm. So, Nick, let's ask you just one more question, just to kind of wrap this up and put a bow on it. You talked about past referrals, online, offline. Where do you think the future holds as far as consumerism and getting more people to get your phone to ring? Do you think it's in relationships, that face-to-face community building? Do you think it's the websites? What do you think for future? Video.
So yeah. I think each individual agent's going to have to determine that, how they want to work that, right? Because I promise you the internet's not going away. Mm-hmm. It changes how we use it all the time, but it's not going away. So if you want to do that, you have to be all in on lead generation online stuff. But people are always going to want to work with a person as well. I mean, even if they try and tell us, oh, everything's going to be paperless and you're going to be able to buy homes online, you can buy them, those virtual, whatever the new technology is, they still want a realtor to help them guide them through the process. And we as realtors provide a tremendous amount of value to people in that we have intimate knowledge of the communities. We have a knowledge of all the forms. We have a knowledge of the time frames. We have a knowledge of how to help them through the entire process. And there's a lot of value to that. And hopefully, as an industry, we can continue to do a good job of telling people the value of working with a professional realtor in that, we see it all. I mean, anybody can buy or sell a house. No doubt about it. You think you can go and you can do a FSBO or whatever you want to do? Knock yourself out, right? But there's a lot of working professionals that they don't want to learn the ins and outs of the contract. They don't want to learn every detail of what they have to do. They want a professional to help guide them through the process. So as long as we can continue to be of value to people, and I don't see that ever going away, but part of the value in the way I run my business is showing them not only that we're knowledgeable about the contracts and the time frames and the legalities of buying and selling properties, but help them define a place that they really want to live in. And you can do that with online or offline business. So generating leads, there's endless amounts of leads out there. And I don't look at other realtors as competition. I mean, they're my peers. And I remember back in the day, so many realtors who want to keep their database secret. Well, not that I won't share my data, but keep everything a secret and not share anything with anybody. And I just think that's more of an old school mentality that there's still a lot of that goes around. But if you look at how many homes are being bought and sold every day in Arizona, that's a big piece of pie. And there's really no reason with a lot of hard work, you can make a lot of money. But if you're not going to work hard, you're not going to make a lot of money. And that's what this is a career for a lot of us. And, it's hard to really service your people well with doing this as a part-time thing. But once you're all in, it's a pretty darn good business.
Okay, so we're going to wrap it up, and Bob, I'm going to put you on the spot with this question too.
Okay.
All right, so the number one lead generator for you and your team is what?
Asking me?
Bob, you're
Definitely sphere of influence and past referrals. We're 75% past referral or past client sphere and referral.
75% past clients.
So we used to be that high. We're still probably 60-ish%. But the leads that I work through some of the website stuff it's growing every year. And so that's kind of where I'm needing to figure out, how do I grow this portion of our business or get people to help with more of that stuff, because it really does work.
So you're saying this internet stuff's not going away?
This internet fad is probably going to be around for a while.
All right, and then very last question, if you're new to the business in the area, what would be the best lead generation tip?
Kind of what we just talked about before. I wish I had there's not a silver bullet answer for that stuff. The best lead generation for you to do is one that you're going to stick to and work hard at.
Exactly.
So find one that you enjoy working at. So for me, it's kind of weird because I love this online lead generation, but I know that most of my business and the people that I really enjoy working with are people that know me and respect me and that we've worked with before. That's the best kind of business. But for the way my mind works is, since I don't have the ability to do a couple hundred deals a year with those people yet, I'm trying to generate more leads online and find more people like those people. And so to me, it's almost like a sport. When we look at a neighborhood and I want to go in there and I want to work in an area, and I start building these websites and taking links from other, social profiles and building more content to it. And then when I see us rising in the search results for those neighborhoods, to me, it's almost like a sport. And I enjoy doing that. And so that's, I'm not saying for most people to do it because it's kind of a sickness that I have. But it's a game that I enjoy playing, and I'm going to continue to do it.
So Jonathan has a question, and we kind of touched on it just a little bit in the very beginning. When budget is a concern, we talked about WordPress. And it's not that expensive. You can go through GoDaddy, purchase your domain name, and ask for WordPress to be set up on your site right there in GoDaddy. I think $10 a month.
Yeah, so WordPress is a really powerful platform. The only reason I suggest people hire somebody to do it is to make it look and feel better, so that design element is different. But hosting is ridiculously cheap, and maintaining your own website, you can do it for less than $20 a month, easy.
Jonathan, I think WordPress.com, that's actually the way to go if you're just starting out.
I believe WordPress.org is the paid one, and WordPress.com is the free version. The difference in the paid and the not paid is one of them will have yourname.wordpress.com, or the other one you can just host your joeblow.com website on it. And that's really, again, we have talked a little bit about it before, but my opinion is own your own content. And even if you're new to the industry, and I get it, everybody has to have a budget, and you want to stay within that budget, but own your own business. You know, make that an initial investment. And even if your site's not the sexiest looking thing, believe me, my sites all need a whole bunch of work done to them still, but spend a little money and get a developer that will help you with a designer to make it look and feel decent, and then find a plugin that you like to work with that'll help you display the stuff that's for sale. But it's not a huge investment, and you can do so much. But all the other social profiles, you know, that stuff's all basically free. We talk about free though, but you know, time is money as well. So when you're just starting out, if you've got more time than money, knock yourself out and just work hard on it, and just put stuff out there that people want to find, and you'll be surprised. But it takes time. I mean, I've been doing this for years, and you know, finally we definitely generate. Oh, I just saw this question. We definitely generate income off of our websites, but it's a lot of hard work.
Best way to contact Nick is via email. Yep, so nick@nickbastian.com. Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining us today.